across the world, one of the most popular Ugandans is President Idi Amin Dada. I've been to many parts of the world, and every other time when I'm entering a particular country and I identify myself as a Ugandan, people out there ask me, "Oh, Idi Amin?" And I always say, "I'm from Uganda." And they say, "Yes, the country of Idi Amin." And even some wonder whether Idi Amin is actually still alive. But we all know that Idi Amin was the president of Uganda from 1971 to 1979. And he's long dead. But the world still remembers Uganda for Idi Amin Dada. My name is Sheila Kawamara Mishambi. I am the director and founder of Tembuzi Culture Fun Park, where we tell our story as Africans from an African perspective. We want to hear African voices narrating their story, other than strangers and foreigners telling the story we lived. I was a young girl when President Idi Amin Dada ruled Uganda. And some of the stories I've heard about Idi Amin, I have disputed them. Some of them, they were utterly true. And that's why at Tembuzi Culture Fun Park, we want to hear from as many people as possible, their experience of Idi Amin. So, as we tell the story of Idi Amin, we need to put it into context. Who was Idi Amin Dada? Idi Amin was born sometime maybe around in the 1920s. And this young boy didn't go far in his education. It is said he went up to primary 4, or what they call elementary school. But at that time in Uganda, we were under the British rule, and you didn't need a lot of education as an African or as a native, as they called us, in order for you to get to power. So Idi Amin, when he didn't go far into school, he had an opportunity to join the army or the military. The barracks was somewhere waiting for Idi Amin. And in the army, at that time, the army of the colonialists was an army to effect the orders of the colonialists. So it was an army of command, an army of violence. At the time Idi Amin joined the army, so the role would be to make sure that the orders of the British are obeyed. So it was virtually executing violence. People who were rising up against the British, the army had to go in and put down the rebellion. In case there was any uprising anywhere, the army was sent in. So that's the army that Amin knew, and that's the army that brought him to power, the army that executed orders, the army that would promote violence against its own citizens. So in 1971, when Apollo Milton Obote was in Singapore, Idi Amin took power. But before that, in 1966, it's the same Idi Amin, when he was the army commander, who attacked the Kabaka, or the president of Uganda's residency, which was the Lubiri. The Kabaka of Buganda, Sir Edward Mutesa II, who was the president of Uganda, the first president. So, under the command of the Prime Minister Milton Apollo Obote, in 1966, Idi Amin executed his commands as best as he knew, and attacked the Lubiri of the Kabaka. So when Obote threatened to arrest Amin in 1970, 71, and Amin took power as Obote was attending the Commonwealth conference in Singapore. And that's how we end up getting Idi Amin. And frankly speaking, as a historian, people celebrated. They celebrated Amin coming to power. And we should understand under what circumstances. Idi Amin was saving them from a regime that was becoming unpopular. To the Africans, those who had kingdoms, Obote had abolished kingdoms in 1967 with the new constitution. And so people celebrated. And that is a genuine celebration. There was inflation. Uganda had not seen elections for about 8 years. People wanted elections. So then there was the whole talk of moving to the left. That was the nationalization of properties. So investors were threatened. So everybody was under threat, and they were happy to welcome somebody who portrayed himself as the savior. So sometimes people who look like the saviors are not actually saviors. And that is the story of Idi Amin. So as soon as he came to power, of course, so many things happened. Obote was next door in Tanzania, threatening to come and take power. We saw a lot of bloodshed happening in the 8 years President Amin was in power, and that's what is really documented. We saw Amin actually killing prominent Ugandans, including the Archbishop of the Anglican faith in 1977. Archbishop Janan Luwum was killed. But there were also other Ugandans who were simply suspected of trying to take power from Idi Amin. Those were also killed. We saw Idi Amin welcoming terrorists on the Ugandan soil who had hijacked an Israeli plane. And that's how we are known. That's how we become famous as Ugandans. But also, under Idi Amin, there were some of the things that he did that could have brought Africans maybe to a state where they are recognized and taking charge of their own economy. In 1972, Idi Amin gave 90 days to have all Asians, and in particular the Indians, out of Uganda. The Indians had come under as laborers during the construction of the Uganda Railway, but Idi Amin gave them 90 days to vacate Uganda. That was inhumane because this was home to the Indians he asked to leave. But then, again, we need to analyze under what circumstances was this being done? And why did some Ugandans feel that this was a popular thing to be done? It was because during the time of colonialism, classes were created. The British were in the administration. Trade and commerce was managed by the Asians, and the Africans were relegated to production. So you'd produce, but you'd not sell. And that is one of the things that actually brought the bad blood between the Africans, who were seen as the workers, and the Asians, who were put in a more superior category. So the Ugandans felt being left out. And that is possibly one of the reasons or the things we need to clearly understand what was on the ground. Then we need to also realize that Amin was a populist. He was one of those guys who knew how to play power. And in all circumstances, despite everything that was happening around Uganda, always there were certain things which would portray us as having pride in our own countries. During that time, we had a coffee boom in the 1970s, and Amin used that money to actually buy or secure a lot of properties across the world where our embassies were positioned. We had Uganda Airlines taking off, and it gave Ugandans a lot of pride. We had Jonah Kibua, of course, winning the first Olympic medal for Uganda in Munich in 1972. That gave Ugandans a lot of pride. When we hosted the OAU in 1974, it again elevated Ugandans. So there were those chance moments which also gave Ugandans a lot of pride. And also being told that Uganda belongs to Ugandans, I think it gave us an opportunity to work as Ugandans to see how we develop our country. It was through a lot of hardships. There was scarcity. Industries completely broke down. That doesn't give us a lot of pride. But we need to understand the underlying circumstances so that as we castigate and demonize Idi Amin, we need also to come out and speak about some of the things we think he did for our country and which we can build on, because there is nobody who is totally bad. Neither is there someone who is totally good. So at Tembuzi Cultural Fun Park, we want to retell Idi Amin's story more objectively, give it the due respect. Let's look at the bad things or the bad side of Idi Amin, but also tell the good side of Idi Amin. In 1979, Idi Amin was overthrown by the forces led by the Tanzania People's Defense Forces and the Ugandan exiles who were in Tanzania. And by that time, I think it was due that Amin had to go, because the country had really, really degenerated. And it was not, his impact was not only in Uganda, it had spread in the entire region. The East African community had collapsed. In 1978, he dared and attacked Tanzania, killing so many people in the Kagera region, in Chaka. He blew up the bridge in Chaka, and those incidences were, I think, beginning to go overboard. So it was time for him to go, and yes, I was going into my teenage, and we were all excited when Idi Amin was overthrown. But then the country never came to stability at that time. When a country is fractured, it doesn't automatically become stable once again. So we need to understand the years under Idi Amin, but also reclaim or understand the years after Idi Amin. It has taken so many years to rebuild Uganda, and that is something that we, the more senior generation, have a responsibility to educate our young people. What happens when a country is fractured? what happens when we decide to have somebody celebrate somebody for the sake of having a leader. So we are going to look at the era of Idi Amin, how it came about, and how we should avoid such instances coming into the future. Here at Tembuzi Cultural Fun Park, we continue to tell our story as Africans from an African perspective.